joy of learning. Yes, we hear so much about it here. Every day, again and again, it's the joy of learning, the joy of learning, the joy of learning. If only I knew then what I know now. Not all learning brings joy. No, indeed. But I was young then. That was before it happened. Before the little Monsters Club, supposed to be so fun, supposed to be so gently and quietly educational, to thrill and amuse us with ancient tales of supernatural, turned into some medieval existential nightmare, cloaked in the torrid garb of the superstitions of the Scottish border moorlands. And I have lost friends. It wasn't supposed to be like that. Maria, Angie and I had an idea. We hear so much about that Greek and Roman legend, we wanted to explore the local legend of it, the joy of learning and all that. So we thought, and then thought who better to ask than Mr. Mole, who seems interested in local legend, even though he's not really a local legend himself, unlike Miss Manley and Mr. Glazer. And so we found him, hidden behind his books, and suggested the local legend club to him. His face lit up. Yes, he said, we could study the tradition behind the foundation of nonconformist schools in the west of England. We tried to be polite. All right, he said. How about the introduction of classical mythology in the late 16th century Somersetshire country house carving? Angie started to walk away, and Maria was drawing on the board. Mr. Mole saw that. He said,
"Why are you drawing fairies on the board, Maria?"
"Can't we study fairies?"
yes, fairies! Oh God.
Actually, that would be an interesting area to study. Fairies aren't the pretty, fluttery things you're probably used to from, your early childhood. They're actually quite sinister, quite interesting things, and there's a deep sense of legend behind them.
Let's study them.
Yes, fairies. And so our club was born. It wasn't really what I planned, but hey ho, it sounded alright. The next thing we had to do was decide who else should join.
Hattie.
No.
Jane.
No.
Harry. Ali. Zoe.
No.
Tom.
Really?
Will. Bet.
No.
Jim.
No.
7%.
No.
Mushrooms.
No. No. Definitely not.
Is there anyone?
Well, what about Audrey?
No.
Yeah, Audrey would be great.
No,
but that
we'll
means
talk about
Grace
it.
too.
No.
Well, let's invite Audrey, but not Grace.
No.
Well, if Audrey comes, Grace will turn up. Audrey will only come if Grace lets her. Grace controls Audrey like puppeteer controls puppets.
It's worth the risk, though.
Mary?
No.
Hannah?
No.
Keith? George?
No. Oh. Maybe. Maria, though, isn't it? Well.
Well, we understand, Maria. George is in.
The next thing then was to invite the others. Hi, do you want to join our club? Oh, I'd like to. But only if Grace allows me. Can she join too? Where's Grace? It's over there. Hey, did you hear about our new club?
Of course. I already knew about it.
Who do you think I am?
You were going to invite George next, weren't you?
How did you know?
We must have George.
George was, as ever, thoroughly engrossed in some new obsession, this time early 19th century poetry.
Much have I dreamt of the realms of gold, and many goodly states
So
and kingdoms
adorable.
seen. Round many western isles have I been, that bards in fealty to Apollo hold.
Who's going to ask him? Why didn't you ask him, Maria? Okay.
George.
And so there we were, a complete group, to meet for some diversion once a week. Little did we realise that this was merely the prelude to a spectacular catastrophe, but that is for later.
We made a study of the medieval view of fairyland, as Mr. Mole had promised, and settled on a 15th century poem from the Scottish borderland called Thomas the Rhymer. It felt drenched in the cold, frightening superstition of that part of the world
wrapped in decaying moss, buried in the moor. It told the tale of a young man called Thomas, or in some versions George, who, while resting by a tree, was visited by the Queen of the Fairies. She abducted him and took him to a hellish realm of fairyland, where all the rivers run with blood, and he vanished. This poem seemed exciting at first, but the grip it held upon us became increasingly disturbing.
I wandered alone to the forest one night, led by a music strange to hear, and followed the glow of a shimmering light that seemed to grow distant as I grew near.
I wish today I had never seen that poem. Nevertheless, we felt special to be in this club, and no one more so than George, who, perhaps to hide the fact that he was greatly outnumbered, tried to take the leadership.
I've had a brilliant idea. How about we have a language for this club?
No. Yeah, we should. Come on.
That's alright, because I've already written it. I finished the 3rd dictionary, the 4th is coming out quite soon. So first, some key vocab. First word is hello. So to say hello, you say posp, posp. Very subtle accent, and you have to do this as well. Posp, posp. Okay, no, this is a bit rowdy here. Audrey first, please. I'm going round in the in an anti-clockwise position. So, posp.
Posp.
Good.
Posp.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Posp.
That's good.
Do I really have to do this?
Of course you do. Do you want to be part of this?
Posp.
That's right. And the next word is how are you? Now, how are you is sop. Sop. You know, quite a hearty sound. And so when you say that, you say sop. So Audrey, sop.
Stop.
Good.
Stop.
Yeah. No. Do that again, please. You have to have your whole hand. Not two fingers.
Stop.
Yeah, that's good. And
Stop.
and you please. It's really not that funny.
Stop.
And Rachel, please. You really take it seriously. Because
Rachel, come on.
I
thought you were into this. You don't have to be here.
Yeah.
Why are you here?
Okay, go. Anyway, go.
Stop.
And okay, so that was quite good. Another final word I think is well, goodbye. So that is spodv. And as you do this one, you have to say spodv. And there's no laughing matter. You have to put your hand and say spodv.
Is it the right or the left?
Your right hand.
Do you actually do it over your head?
No, it's just clapping back. It's like goodbye. I suppose it's a parallel to modern day waving.
It's not. Come on, you stop.
Sorry.
Really?
Okay, so starting with you, remember, spodv.
Spodv.
That's good.
Spodv.
You. Two things. Firstly,
You can come into contact with
Maria's right hand.
right hand. And you have to say it. Spodv.
Spodv.
No, not spod. Spodv.
Spodv.
Okay, three. Spodv.
Spodv.
Subtle. No, much more subtle. Spodv. Grace, I give up on you. After, maybe you have to have some one-to-one lessons. Very important. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to communicate effectively. And Grace,
Spodv.
that's very good. Actually, probably the best technique so far. Take note of that. Take note of that. And Rachel.
Don't touch me.
Spodv.
Right. Spodv. You're not
Right.
taking this seriously.
Oh.
Would that actually
I'm fed up, Rachel. It was midnight. There was nae starlight. They wandered in blood upon the knee. For all the blood that's shed on earth rins through the springs of that country.
About time, you see. Your attitude really hasn't been good enough in class. You want to learn this language.
Yeah.
You've got to take it extremely seriously. You should, well, take Angie as an example, yes. Because she has been a very diligent pupil. She's picking up the fastest, I think, or the quickest progression out of all of us. But you're lagging behind. So we're going to start a course of lessons now. Now, can you remember the basic vocabulary? Okay.
Hey. Are you going to go to party with him? Imagine what you can do. If you imagine it, anything can happen. Close your eyes. They've got animal heads on. Their heads are animals. Is it working? Imagine it. Good God. Imagine it, Audrey. Is it working? Yes.
I see what you mean.
You can do it. It's working.
Fuck off. Fuck off.
Yeah. I want you to watch Angela. In a second, her head's going to be really, really itchy. Watch. Make it stop. Alright.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good.
In the meantime, meetings are pretty normal, much like many other school clubs. We sat there, as Mr. Mole expostulated about this and that. Some of us half listening. Some, like Maria, focused on other things.
It fell about the lamb's tide, when them weir men win their bay. The doughty Douglas bound him bride into England to drive a crane. He chose the gordons and the grain, with the Lindsay like a gate.
Here we go.
Hello.
Hi. I've been practicing language.
Oh, yes, of course, Maria.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
You have to listen. It's so good. Okay, ready? Puff. And on top. And spud. George, listen.
Yes?
Yes. And puff. And spud. And okay. I've got something for you.
Yes, wait a sec.
Here you go. Look.
What is this?
It's a fairy with a rose.
Well, yes, but why are you giving that to me?
Well, you know, the club and it made me think loads tonight. Realise some games and...
I see. The red rose. Oh, Robbie Burns, I see. My love is like a red rose that's newly sprung in June. Oh, my love is like the melody that's sweetly played in tune.
Yeah. What rubbish! Maria, so silly and sentimental. You should know by now that fairies work differently. If you fancy him, why don't you just say so? You don't see people in romantic films going round saying, "Poth, poth," do you? Now, George. Recite that poem again, George.
What? Where's my...
Recite the poem, George. Go on.
Through Thomas
George, he lay on Huntley Bank. Fairly he spied with his eye.
And there he saw a lady bright, lying down by the oaken tree. Her skirt was all the grassman silk, mantled all the velvet fine, as in protect of her horse's mane, on 50 silver bells and 9.
Keep saying it, George. Keep saying it. Say it until you dream it.
He has gotten a coat of the evening cloth, and a pair of shoes of the velvet green, until 7 years were gaining past, through George on earth was never seen.
Young George, he lay on Huntley Bank. A marvel with his eyes spied he. There he saw a lady bright, come running by the alden tree.
Harp and harp, George,
She said,
sing and play along with me, and if you dare to follow, sure of your service I will be.
Betide me weal, betide me woe, this weird shall never frighten me.
and he has dared to follow her, all under the alden tree.
I've never really cared for this. I've always had a cool, unsentimental mind. I didn't give a fig for togetherness and clubbiness and all that. I just wanted to study stuff, to find out about more things, perhaps with a view to writing a book in the future. But the dynamic of the club wasn't really like that. George, obsessed with his new language, set about developing a series of speeches in it. Maria tended to follow him around, at a distance though. Andy read assiduously and took copious notes about the subject, but she must have been aware of Audrey and Grace. Grace seemed to have an even stronger psychological hold on Audrey than before, and there was an atmosphere about the control, an almost oppressive, explosive quality, which made the rest of us uneasy. It was as though Audrey was becoming a mere cipher of Grace. We felt strange things could happen.
Georgie, pudding and pie, had the girls and made them cry. When the girls came out to play, Georgie Porgy was taken away. Georgie Porgy, pudding and pie, had the girls and made them cry. When the girls came out to play, Georgie Porgy was taken away.
Like a really sunny view, so warm and gentle. And it's lovely flowing melody, sometimes quick, sometimes slow. It's full of wit and humour. This is very close to my idea of music. It's just 4 string instruments.
Peace out, see the world.
There's no pressure from the different sounds or anything like that. You want pure, just this mega purity. Or this kind of piece, string quartet. I think strictly speaking, I would say Haydn's a more perfect composer than Schubert, but Schubert is more kind of magically lyrical in that sense. Which way do I get?
Have you heard about Angie? What happened? She disappeared. Really? What did you heard? No, she's been up here. Where did she go? She just left. Randomly. It's really weird. Oh, hi, Rachel. Hi. Did you hear about Ange?
No?
Apparently she's disappeared.
Well, it's great, isn't it? Come on.
What do you mean?
She's terrifying. Have you not noticed?
Hi.
What are you saying, Rachel? It's all turned nasty, hasn't it?
Since you've joined, it's just all gone weird. I mean, why else would Angie have left? Go then. We don't need you, just like we didn't need Mr. Mole. I'm staying. Audrey, you'll stay. Maria? George is staying. I know George is staying. He's made a Facebook page about it, and he's written an article in the magazine about 15th century Abyssinian fairy tales. Go then. I tried to leave, but then I thought I'd better stay. I could see what was happening. They were frightened. Frightened of her, Grace. If she wanted the club to go on, and that was what would happen. Mr. Mole really had nothing to do with it anymore. It'd become Grace's club. But they were my friends, Maria, George, Audrey. I was frightened for them. I thought you'd left. Yeah, but listen. Listen!
Grace, I just did a picnic in like a woods about all the fairy stuff, so do you want to come? I think you should. It'll be so much fun. We'll have like chapati and lentils. We'll have ugali. We'll have giberi. I love that. So definitely.
All right, I'll come.
That's good. What do you think?
That's all right.
كان يا مكان وسط واحد العائلة.
Grace. What? What do you want? Why aren't you with Grace? You're always with Grace.
Look, I know you just think I'm Grace's poodle, but ever since Angie disappeared, no, even before that, I've been kind of troubled. Like, listen, I've been having these dreams, really, really bad dreams of Angie screaming, running through a forest, screaming, and George, poor George, he's somehow just a shell with all the Georgeness taken out of him.
What are you talking about, Audrey?
Well, that poem, that terrible poem, I heard it of George, chanted, but it was George they were after, it was George.
It was just a dream.
Yeah, but, you know, I think there's something odd about Grace.
You've noticed, have you?
No, I mean really odd. Like, I think she might represent the powers of evil. No, look, I looked at the poem and all notions of fairyland and the Queen of the Elves and all that, and I found these poems. Look. Don't you see what Grace has in store for us?
Why are you showing Rachel those images, Audrey? Hadn't you better be making the cake for the picnic?
Yes, Grace.
So we come to the picnic, the terrible climax of our story. Dear God, I wish that for one night I could be spared the horrible visions of that time.
It's wonderful, I'm loving it.
Whose idea was this? Cracking! I love it! Don't normally like monsters, but it's great!
It was Grace's idea.
Well, I'd just like to thank everyone, really, for being here, and for just being such a good club, and more than anything, I just appreciate the fact that you're really good friends. Now, I'm sorry.
Come on, let's go.
Young George, he lay on Huntley bank, a marvel with his eyes sighed he. Then he saw a lady bright, come riding down the elden tree.
And they rode on, and farther on, and they waded through rivers above the knee. And they saw neither sun nor moon, but they heard the roaring of the sea.
This is a wonderful place. Let's stop here. Let's eat things. Yeah. You know it so well, George.
What do you mean?
You know what he said then?
No, he didn't. Really?
Yeah, you know what else he said?
That's even worse.
I know. And he didn't even like my fingernails on.
No. Harp and cart, George.
What do you mean?
You sound like the Queen of the Elves or something.
Listen, George, listen. Harp and cart, George. Harp and cart. And follow me.
I don't like it either.
I can't believe you're saying that. Maria, where did you get that tie? It's so nice. Thank you.
Hang on a moment. Where are Grace and George?
I saw.
Shall we leave them to it?
No.
No, we have to go find them.
Yeah, let's do that. Come on.
Let's go.
Can I get this first? Yeah, let's go. Come on.
And now you must follow me, George. You must follow me. And you must serve me 7 years, through weal or woe, as may chance to be.
George! What is it?
Oh gosh, can you leave this place? No, it might be it.
We have to look.
Yeah. George?
What are you doing? Where's George, Gray? You're all absurd. Why don't you go back to your picnic?
Where's George? Oh god, I can't bear
Look
this.
under the cloak if you care so much.
Grace! George, what are you doing here? What are you doing
How'd you get here?
Oh my god, it's so good to see you.
What?
The joy of learning.